The Europa League is back again, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for the 6th match day in the Europa League phase. In today's video, I'm going to be predicting the scoreline for every single game in the 6th match day. And obviously, if you guys do agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree with my predictions and you think there may be a few upsets here and there, remember to leave your predictions in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. If you guys haven't already noticed, I have been customizing my room a little bit, trying to make things look a little bit better for the videos. But without further ado, let's get right into this video. Starting off with the first game, which is being played on Wednesday, we have Fenerbahce against Athletic Club. In my opinion, I think this is going to be a very close game. Both of these teams have some incredible players, and they have both been doing pretty good recently. But in Fenerbahce's last game, they did suffer a 1-0 defeat to Besiktas, which realistically they should have won that game. And in this game, they are playing at home, but in my opinion, Athletic Club are the better team. Athletic Club have been very good so far in this Europa League, and they currently sit in 2nd place. And even though in this game they are playing away, I think they will just edge it over Fenerbahce, so I'm going to pick them to win this game 2-1. Moving on to the Thursday fixtures, the first game we got is Hoffenheim against FC SB. I've already mentioned it so many times. Hoffenheim this season has been very poor. In the Bundesliga, in the Champions League, they have been very bad, and especially on recent form, they are not doing good at all. On the other hand, FC SB have been doing pretty good so far in this Champions League, and obviously in the Romanian league, they do currently sit in 1st place. So for that reason, even though they are playing away, I think they're going to be able to beat Hoffenheim in this game 2-1. Moving on to the next game, we have Ludogorets against AZ Alkmaar. In my opinion, AZ Alkmaar have been a very inconsistent team this season, because just a few months ago, we saw them go on a horrible losing streak where they lost 5 or 6 games in a row. But in recent weeks, they have been playing much better, where we've seen them draw 1-1 against Galatasaray in the last match day, and in the recent fixture, they beat Ajax 2-1 in the Eredivisie. I think AZ Alkmaar will pretty comfortably win this game 3-1. Moving on to the next game, we have Malmo against Galatasaray. Galatasaray are obviously one of the better teams in this Europa League, currently sitting in 4th place, and we have seen them get already some very good results, including their win against Tottenham. On the other hand, Malmo have not been good so far in this Europa League, currently sitting in 30th place, and from their first 5 games, they only have 3 points on the board. They are not on good form at the moment, and for that reason, even though they're playing at home, I think Galatasaray will win this game 2-0. Moving on to the next game, we have Olympiacos against FC Twente. Obviously, in the first match day, FC Twente did very good against Manchester United to come out of that game with a draw. But since that first match day, they have been very poor. Now, to be fair, Olympiacos haven't been the best either, because for a team that won the Conference League last season, I thought that they were going to be one of the best teams so far. But they have been a little bit inconsistent. But in this game, with the home advantage, coming up against FC Twente, who haven't really been that good recently, I think Olympiacos will win this game 3-1. Moving on to the next game, we have PAOK against Ferencvaros. I've already mentioned that I think Ferencvaros is a very underrated team, and they definitely have the capabilities to make it into the knockout stages in this Europa League campaign. But coming away against PAOK, I think this will be a very difficult game for them. Now, PAOK haven't been the best so far in this Europa League, but we already know that the Greek fans and playing away at Greek stadiums is always going to be very tough. So for that reason, I think this is going to be a very close game, but I am going to predict that Ferencvaros will just edge it over PAOK and win this game 2-1. Moving on to the next game, we have Roma against Braga. It's fair to say that both of these teams have been underperforming so far in this Europa League, but in the Portuguese league, Braga have been playing very well, when in the Serie A, Roma have been very poor. But Roma did recently appoint Ranieri as their new manager, who has a lot of experience in many different leagues. And since then, they did obviously lose to Atalanta, but in their recent match, they beat Lecce 4-1, which was a very impressive win for them. So in this game, I think with the home advantage, they will be able to beat Braga. I think it will be a very close game, but I'm going to predict a 1-0 win for Roma. Moving on to the next game, we have Union St-Gilloise against Nice. Normally, I would probably predict Nice to win this game, but so far, they have been so poor in this Europa League, and they currently sit in 35th place. They are 2nd last in the league phase table. And on recent form, they have not been good either, when in their last 3 games, they lost 4-1 against Rangers in the last match day, and in the Ligue 1, they also lost 4-1 against Lyon. So for that reason, I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. The next game we got is Viktoria Pilsen against Manchester United. Viktoria Pilsen have been surprisingly good so far in this Europa League, and currently they only sit one place below Manchester United in 13th place, having gotten 9 points from their first 5 games. On the other hand, Manchester United have been far below standard so far in this Europa League. Now, in recent matches, they have been improving, but even in the Premier League, we saw them lose against Arsenal, they lost against Nottingham Forest, and even with Ruben Amorim, it seems like they're still not performing very well. But I think Manchester United just have a little bit too much quality for Viktoria Pilsen. So for that reason, I'm going to predict a 2-0 win for them. The next game we got is one of the best games in the 6th match day, Ajax against Lazio. I think this game will be a very, very good game. Now, Ajax are coming off a loss in their last match against AZ Alkmaar, when Lazio, on the other hand, in their last 2 matches, beat Napoli, both in the Coppa Italia and in the Serie A. On top of that, both of these teams sit very high on the table. Lazio currently sit in 1st place, while Ajax sit in 6th place. I think this is going to be a very, very good game. Both of these teams have been scoring a lot of goals in recent matches. So far in this Europa League, both Lazio and Ajax have some of the most goals scored out of all the other teams. So I think this will be a very high scoring game. But even with the home advantage, I think Lazio will just edge it in this game. It will be very, very close, but I'm going to predict that Lazio win this game 3-2. Moving on to the next game, we have Bodo Glimt against Besiktas. Like I already mentioned, Besiktas did play very good in their last match day in the Turkish Super League. But so far in this Europa League, they have been very, very poor. When on the other hand, Bodo Glimt have been good in some games, but they've also been very poor in other games. We've already seen Bodo Glimt get a few good results, like against Braga and against FC Porto, but they've also gotten a few poor results, like their loss against Qarabag and their draw against Union St-Gilloise. But with the home advantage, I think they will play good in this game, and I think they're going to beat Besiktas 2-0. The next game we got is Elfsborg against Qarabag. I've been predicting Qarabag to do good in every single game so far, and they keep disappointing me. But in the last game against Bodo Glimt, I predicted them to lose, and they end up winning that game, which was a very unexpected result. So in this game, it really depends on how Qarabag play. Either they perform good, or they perform like shit. Who knows? Elfsborg are obviously not a very common team, and yes, they did get a good result against Roma, but since then, they have been losing most of their games. So for that reason, I do think Qarabag will just edge it in this game, and I'm going to predict that they win this game 2-1. Moving on to the next game, we have FC Porto against FC Midtjylland. Porto have been so confusing to me this season. I don't know what's going on. They have been winning in some games where they're not expected to win, and they have been losing in some games which majority of people expect them to win. They have been, in my opinion, one of the most inconsistent teams so far in this Europa League, where they could win, they could lose, but no one really knows. And even in recent weeks, they've been a little bit inconsistent, where we saw them draw 2-2 against Anderlecht, then they won their next game in the Liga Portugal, but in their last game, they ended up finishing with a draw, which was a pretty poor performance by them. But I think it's finally time for Porto to start showing who they really are in this Europa League. They are a very good team with a lot of experience, and for that reason, I think they will comfortably win this game 3-0. Moving on to the next game, we have Lyon against Frankfurt. In my opinion, this is going to be a very, very good game because both of these teams are on pretty good form, and in the Europa League, they have both been playing very, very well. Frankfurt currently sit in 3rd place on the league phase table, where Lyon sit in 7th place. But in their respective leagues, both of these teams have been very, very well, where Lyon sit near the top of the table and Frankfurt currently sit in 2nd place. They are doing very, very well in the Bundesliga. And obviously with their star forward Omar Mahmoud, who has been, in my opinion, one of the best players in the world, I think they will win this game. Obviously Lyon do have the home advantage, and in recent weeks, they have been playing very well. But in my opinion, I think Eintracht Frankfurt will just be able to get the win, and I think they will win this game 3-2. Moving on to the next game, we have Maccabi Tel Aviv against RFS. This game, in my opinion, is very, very unpredictable because I'm not too familiar with both of these teams. I don't know very much about them, but I do know that Maccabi Tel Aviv in the last match day played very, very well. I think this game realistically could go either way, so for that reason, I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. Moving on to the next game is another highly anticipated match between Rangers and Tottenham Hotspur. Both of these teams sit around the same position on the league phase table, with Rangers in 8th place and Tottenham in 9th place, having both gotten 10 points from their first 5 matches. If we look at Tottenham so far this season, they have been another team similar to Porto that have been very, very inconsistent, where we've seen them beat some of the best teams in the Premier League like Manchester City 2 times back to back. but we've also seen them get some pretty poor results in recent weeks. In the last match day, they drew 2-2 against Roma, we saw them draw against Fulham, and they also recently lost against both Bournemouth and also against Chelsea. Rangers, on the other hand, have been on better form, but I think that Tottenham are the better team, and even though Rangers do have the home advantage, I think Tottenham will be able to score a decent amount of goals in this game, so I think they will win this game 4-2. Moving on to the next game, we have Real Sociedad against Dinamo Kiev. Real Sociedad currently sit in 16th place in this league phase table, but Dinamo Kiev, on the other hand, have been the worst team so far, currently sitting in last place, and they still haven't gotten a win from their first 5 matches. Sadly for them, I think they have no chance in this game. They may score a goal, but I think Real Sociedad will easily win this game 3-1. And finally, the last game we have is Slavia Prague against Anderlecht. Anderlecht have been surprisingly good so far in this Europa League, where from their first 5 games, they've already gotten 11 points, and they currently sit in 5th place, which is much higher than what I expected. Now, Slavia Prague have been a little bit disappointing, but I think this game will be very tough for Anderlecht, because with the home advantage, obviously Slavia Prague are a more aggressive team. I think this will be a very, very tough game for Anderlecht to get the win. But like I said, they do currently sit in 5th place, and they have been playing much better than what I expect. So for that reason, I do think they will just win this game 2-1. And that is the end of my video. Those were my Europa League predictions for the 6th match day in the Europa League phase. If you guys agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But obviously, if you disagree with my predictions, you think there may be a few upsets here and there, remember to leave your predictions in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. As always, if you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.